Hey, how you doing? Stevo again. I did put a video out there, but it was like a couple seconds too long, which is kind of strange. But basically, I was talking about the Trump turds, and it was pretty good stuff. And but anyways, I would like to talk about them. Mainly, there was this George Floyd protest where I live, and there were helicopters flying yesterday, and in my neighborhood, which is very progressive to the left, I saw a red car drive quickly by down the neighborhood, and it had a flag waving in the wind saying "Blue Lives Matter," and it's like, not in this neighborhood. I mean, I'm not, hey, whatever floats your boat, whatever you're into, and it's kind of strange in a neighborhood that I live in that they wouldn't be for Blue Lives Matter. I'm not against cops whatsoever, and but I'm not for cops, and maybe some middle class or conservative rural area would not make a big deal about a Blue Lives Matter sign in a neighborhood like this. And but what I wanted to really talk about is the Trump turds, and what I saw on CNN when they interviewed the Trump turds at this Michigan rally for Trump. And they asked them, why aren't you not wearing a mask, and why aren't you social distancing? Then they said, well, it's COVID is a conspiracy against Trump. And after how many 8 months we've had this COVID? It's been almost 8 months, and they still think it's a conspiracy. And then another guy says, well, if I die, I die. The Lord will take me. I believe in the Lord up there. And if I die, I die. And I'm like, these are the stupidest people I ever met in my life. Again, I'm not that religious, and I respect people's views. I even respect people's religion, even though I'm an atheist. But I don't respect people's stupidity, and them just denying that COVID doesn't exist. It just, to me, doesn't make sense. After 8 months of this, and you still think that COVID is not a threat, it doesn't exist or whatever, because you drink the Kool-Aid of your boss, your leader, Donald Trump. I just don't have time for stupidity. I feel sorry for anyone that out there who might have a family who's a pro-Trump turd, and will have to deal with them on Thanksgiving or Christmas, and have to deal with their I feel sorry for you. I have great if you have great intestinal fortitude to have to deal with any relative that's a Trump turd during the holiday season. I feel for you. I feel for you. My condolences. But these are the same people who were probably in the Tea Party movement during the Obama age. These are the same people who watch Fox News for many years. These are the same people who, read Breitbart and the QAnon conspiracies, and believe in Alex Jones, and still listen to Rush Limbaugh and that idiot. And these people are Hillary Clinton called deplorables, but she had to take that back when she was running for president. I'm not taking it back. I'm not taking it back. I'm not running for anything. So they are deplorable people, And I hope when Trump leaves office that they go under the rock, that they came from, because these people are always so fucking stupid that they always, shoot their own foot when it comes to politics. They always vote for a dictator like Donald Trump or G.W. Bush or Ronald Reagan, and they always will vote for a dictatorial person like Bush or Trump or Reagan, because that's who they like. That's who they like, and they want to bring back the 1950s, Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, which were all TV shows of the 1950s. They weren't real. You know what was real was Emmett Till, the murder of Emmett Till in 1955. That was real. Him, Emmett Till allegedly whistling at a white chick, a flat-ass white chick, a overweight black kid with pimples on his face, whistling at a white girl. Does that make sense to you? Whistling, you're overweight, insecure, 12-year-old, and you're going to whistle at a white girl. In the 1950s, in the South. And this white lady became an elderly woman, and a year or a couple years ago, she actually admitted that Emmett Till didn't whistle at her. No shit. Black people knew that from the start, that Emmett Till didn't whistle at her. But Emmett Till was murdered, by some grown-up white men who thought that a young black man, whistled at a flat-ass white girl. That doesn't make sense. So the 50s weren't for everybody. The 50s weren't for my mother, a white woman who took care of kids at a young age, took care of 4 kids and fed them and bathed them and put diapers on them and made dinner and cleaned the house while her husband was working in the 50s, 1950s. Got bored and met some black guys, and rest is history. Met my black father years later. But anyways, the 50s weren't as great as these Trump turds want you to admit. The 50s were great when the rich paid their taxes, when they paid 90% of their taxes in the 50s. And Reagan in the 80s kind of talked them out of it and say, well, I got your back. I'm going to make sure you don't pay a lot of taxes, to the point that you're paying 0 in taxes. And Amazon.com pays 0 in taxes. And there's barely a middle class these days, so who's paying taxes? Poor people can't afford to pay taxes. So that's why the economy is so fucked up. No one's paying taxes. The rich can afford it, but they're not going to. They're not going to. Because Reagan gave them a really good deal not paying, taxes. So there was a time in the 50s that the rich paid 90% of their taxes. So that's a good thing about the 50s is the abundance of things, and things cost less back in the 50s. Because the rich paid their 90% of their taxes. They don't do that no more. The rich don't pay 90% anymore. But the 50s weren't good if you were a person of color, or if you were a woman, or if you were gay or lesbian. Gays and lesbians had to keep their lifestyle a secret. This is what these Trump turds want. They want to bring back the 1950s. And I'm thinking to myself, as a person of color, that's kind of selfish, that you want to bring back something that only benefited a small group of people. When people of color were being segregated in other neighborhoods, and white families were living their little Leave It to Beaver utopianism. It probably wasn't a utopianism, but you want to bring back certain things that wasn't real to begin with. Leave It to Beaver is not real. It's a TV show. Father Knows Best is not real. It's a TV show. It's bringing back something that never was. And I think that's what the Trump turds are. They're afraid of modernity. They're afraid of change. You know, and they're afraid of anything. They're afraid of our first black president. They're afraid of the squad of AOC and Ilhan Omar, and they're afraid of Pete Buttigieg, the first gay person to run for, admitted gay person to run for Democratic office. They're afraid of all these people. And what are you afraid of? Because the good people aren't afraid of change. But 35% of Trump turds are afraid of change. So I just wanted to do this video. I hope this comes in. You know, the last video did not go in because of a couple seconds. So I hope you vote. That's my main agenda, is to get as many people, American people, to vote this year, and to care about your community, because when you vote, you care, and when you vote, you hopefully you also be active in your community also, because it's not just voting; it's being active in your community, and we really do need that these days. We do need people who care. And the majority of Americans are good people, and they do care. They do care, you know. So maybe it's a waste of time to talk about the Trump turds. I don't know. What do you think? Is it a waste of time to talk about Trump turds? You know, I mean, it's six o'clock in the morning, and I'm talking about Trump turds. You know. And I hope the Trump turds, you know, when Trump leaves office, he takes his Trump turds with him, you know. And I hope we could, you know, 25 years from now, we won't know that these Trump turds exist. Because these are people that are deplorable. They refuse to learn anything. They refuse to read a book. They refuse to have any empathy towards any people that aren't them. And I'm glad that they're only 35%. It's a huge percentage if you think about it. It is a big percentage, but you know, it's not. At least it's not half. At least it's not 50%. You know, we've been through a lot as Americans, and we can't go back now. You know, and it's time for you to vote. It's time for you to practice social distancing or vote by mail, and it's time for you to for all of us to get out of our slumbers and be active, you know, and not get in despair. So I hope to see or hear or whatever from you. It is 6 in the morning in the future.